city hummed with its usual chaos. But beneath the neon glow of the downtown skyline, a secret pulsed in the shadows. Alina, 38, stood at the edge of the rooftop bar, her auburn hair catching the wind as she clutched a glass of crimson wine. Her emerald eyes flickered with a storm of doubt and desire, reflecting the glittering lights of the urban sprawl below. She'd spent weeks on that dating app, her fingers trembling over every message to him, a man whose words dripped with charm and danger. Night, against every shred of reason, she'd slipped away from her husband's oblivious embrace, her heart pounding as she stepped into the unknown. The bar, perched atop an old Art Deco hotel, was a hidden gem, its velvet-draped walls and dim chandeliers whispering decadence. She didn't know yet that this night would unravel her, that the man she'd come to meet wasn't alone, or that the air would soon thicken with a forbidden heat she couldn't escape. Hey, if you're already hooked, smash that like button and subscribe. Things are about to get wild, and you won't want to miss a second of this. Lena adjusted the black silk dress hugging her curves, its plunging neckline a quiet rebellion against the life she'd left at home. She scanned the room, her breath catching as she spotted him, Damien, leaning against the bar. He was taller than she'd imagined, his dark hair tousled, his jaw sharp enough to cut glass. His gray suit clung to his frame, and when his hazel eyes locked onto hers, a slow, predatory smile curled his lips. She felt it instantly, the pull, the risk, the thrill of being seen. He crossed the room with a confidence that made her knees weak, his voice low and velvet smooth as he said, "You're even more stunning than I pictured." She laughed nervously, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. "I almost didn't come," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "Then I'm glad you're braver than you think," he replied, his fingers grazing her wrist as he handed her another glass of wine. The touch sent a jolt through her, electric and dangerous. They moved to a secluded corner, a plush velvet booth tucked beneath a stained glass window that cast fractured light across her skin. The conversation flowed teasing, intimate, laced with unspoken promises. She told him about her restless nights, the monotony of her marriage, the itch she couldn't scratch. He listened, his gaze never wavering, his hand resting casually on her thigh beneath the table. The fabric of her dress bunched under his touch, and she didn't pull away. And the air shifted. A shadow fell across the booth, and Alina looked up to see another man standing there, broad-shouldered, with a rugged edge to his features. His blonde hair was swept back, his blue eyes piercing as they raked over her. Damien didn't flinch. "Alina, meet Julian," he said, his tone casual but laced with something darker. "He's been dying to join us." Her pulse spiked. "Join us," she echoed, her voice trembling. She glanced between them, the weight of their stares pinning her in place. Julian slid into the booth on her other side, his knee brushing hers as he leaned in close. "Damien told me all about you," he murmured, his breath warm against her ear. "I couldn't resist seeing for myself." Panic and curiosity warred in her chest. She should leave, run back to the safety of her predictable life, but her body betrayed her, heat pooling low in her belly. Damien's hand slid higher up her thigh, his fingers tracing slow circles, while Julian's arm draped across the back of the booth, caging her between them. The room seemed to shrink, the chatter of the bar fading into a distant hum as their presence consumed her. "Tell me," Damien said, his lips brushing her temple. "What's the wildest thing you've ever wanted to do?" She swallowed hard, her voice shaky. I don't know." "Liar," Julian teased, his fingers tipping her chin toward him. His touch was firm, commanding. "We can see it in your eyes." Tension snapped like a taut wire. Damien's mouth found her neck, his lips grazing the sensitive skin below her ear, while Julian's hand slid to her waist, pulling her closer. She gasped, her head tipping back as their hands roamed bold, unapologetic, claiming. The velvet cushions sank beneath her weight, the fabric cool against her flushed skin as Damien's fingers slipped beneath the hem of her dress, teasing the edge of her lace underwear. Julian's lips hovered over hers, a heartbeat away, his breath mingling with hers as he whispered, "You're ours tonight." Rooftop bar blurred into a haze of sensation. Alina's hands gripped the edge of the table, her nails digging into the wood as Damien's touch grew bolder, his fingers dipping beneath the lace to find her already slick with need. She bit her lip to stifle a moan, but Julian caught it, his mouth crashing into hers with a hunger that stole her breath. His tongue swept against hers, demanding, while Damien's free hand cupped her breast through the silk, his thumb circling her nipple until it hardened under his touch. Risk electrified her, the thought that anyone could turn and see, that her husband could somehow sense her betrayal. But the shame only fueled her hips shifting instinctively toward Damien's hand as Julian deepened the kiss, his teeth grazing her lower lip. She was unraveling, caught in their rhythm, their collective desire, a current she couldn't fight. Damien pulled back just enough to meet her gaze, his eyes dark with lust. "You're perfect," he growled, his voice rough as he slid 2 fingers inside her, slow and deliberate. She arched against him, a whimper escaping her lips as Julian's hand joined the fray, slipping beneath her dress to mirror Damien's movements. Their fingers moved in tandem, stretching her, filling her, their breaths ragged as they watched her come apart. Stained glass window above cast kaleidoscope patterns across her face, her auburn hair spilling over the velvet as she surrendered to them. Her body trembled, teetering on the edge, and when Julian's thumb found her clit, circling with relentless precision, she shattered. Her cry was muffled by Damien's hand over her mouth, his grin wicked as she bucked against them, waves of pleasure crashing through her. But they didn't stop. Julian shifted, pulling her onto his lap, her dress riding up to expose her thighs as he unzipped his pants. Damien stood, his silhouette towering over them as he unbuttoned his shirt, revealing the hard planes of his chest. "We're just getting started," he said, his voice a promise and a threat. Lena's mind spun, overwhelmed, exhilarated, terrified. She felt Julian's hardness press against her, his hands gripping her hips as he guided her down, inch by torturous inch. Her breath hitched, her body stretching to accommodate him, while Damien stepped closer, his fingers tangling in her hair as he tilted her head back. "Look at me," he commanded, and she obeyed, her lips parting as he freed himself, his arousal brushing against her mouth. World narrowed to this, their bodies, their heat, their control. Julian thrust up into her, slow and deep, his groans vibrating through her as Damien filled her mouth, his grip tightening in her hair. She was theirs, wholly, shamelessly, the forbidden act binding them in a dance of raw need. The bar's velvet walls seemed to pulse with their rhythm, the city lights beyond a distant witness to her descent. Hours blurred into moments. They moved her between them, positions shifting, hands and mouths exploring every inch of her. On the velvet booth against the wall, beneath the stained glass glow, she lost herself to the chaos of it all. Her skin glistened with sweat, her dress a crumpled heap on the floor, her cries swallowed by the night. Then, as suddenly as it began, they paused. Julian's chest heaved as he pulled her close, his lips brushing her shoulder. Damien knelt before her, his fingers tracing her jaw as he murmured, "You're incredible." She stared at them, dazed, her body humming with aftershocks, her mind a tangle of guilt and euphoria. The bar was quiet now, the crowd thinning, but the night wasn't over. Julian smirked, adjusting his shirt. "Next time, we'll take you somewhere even more private." "Next time," she whispered, her voice hoarse. Damien's smile was enigmatic. "If you dare." He stumbled to her feet, pulling her dress back on with shaking hands. watched her, their gazes heavy with intent, as she slipped into the night, the city swallowing her secret. The rooftop bar loomed behind her, a silent witness to the line she'd crossed, and the question of whether she'd cross it again.